Hello, hello. Trying to let you in. Yay!
Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
Hang on one sec. I was wondering if you wanted to do it on Mia's Media or if you wanted to do it on Tofu Pudding. It doesn't matter to me, but
It's up to you. Yeah, whichever.
we're already connected, so.
Yeah. Perfect. How you doing?
I'm
kind
good.
of tired, to be honest, this morning.
What?
I'm kind of tired this morning.
I'm tired too. Like, look at my hair. Like,
I love it.
I went to bed with it kind of wet, and I was like, well, it's fine. It looks good.
It's fine. Just a little cowlick, I think it's called. But
Yeah, that's kind of my signature look. So.
I like it. Yeah.
It's good to
How
see
you been? You too. I think I haven't seen you since that beer festival in Seattle.
Oh my god, how many years ago was that? That was like
7, because I was still living in Maple Leaf in that forest treehouse kind of thing.
That was really cool. I remember just drinking way too much beer and being like, I'm never gonna do this again.
Yes, life, how it happens.
Life. Exactly. Yeah, I feel like that's just like ages ago. But
yeah, like I don't even remember how old I was. I think I was like 25. Yeah, so it's like, it's 7 years ago, which feels weird.
I must have been 26, because I think I'm only a year older than you.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We're getting old.
We're getting old. I just turned 32.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Thank you.
How was your birthday?
It was awesome. I was over in Palm Springs. My partner planned this whole trip, and we went to go. She's a photographer, and we went to photograph this cute lesbian couple friend that's ours in Joshua Tree. So super fun.
That's awesome. I'm happy to see you happy. I know. I think last time we saw each other, which probably came to play with the amount of beers that we drank.
Yeah.
Where you were in life, and it's nice to see you happy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a time. I feel like I was getting out of a very intense 2-year on and off relationship, but we're done with that.
Yes,
and they're done that. That's
yep. Lessons learned. On to better things.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Cool. Well, I really much appreciate you coming on the podcast. I started this. Let's see. This is the 9th episode. I usually do it weekly, so like 2 months ago or so.
That's so cool.
I felt like I was like dying. Like I love my job, and I was like, but there's more. Like there's more facets of my personality, identity, and I need to bring it out. And so by starting this, just in a way, helps me stay balanced and stable. In a way,
I love that,
and it's a nice way to connect with people because, you're still in Washington. A lot of the people I've chatted with are still in Washington or abroad somewhere, and so it's just nice to connect with people and see what people are doing because we get so wrapped up in our lives,
We do. It's funny because it doesn't matter the quality of the connection is what I realized because there's a quality of connection here. It's just there's just so very. Hopefully, it'll be good. I put on power saving and the light is way down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see that last party.
Yeah, we're good, I think. But yeah, I just think the quality is not the issue. It's just getting there's so many really great connections we're making in life, and just I think slowing down and doing something like this is really cool to be able to connect with people. It's making it intentional, and I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing. So yeah.
Well, let's hop in. I know you have clients today. I know who you are, but who are you and what's your brand?
Well, my name is Colleen Mias, and I'm the owner behind Mias Media, and that is a video and photography business that I run out of the greater Seattle area, I guess. But I'm mobile, so it could be anywhere, but that's just where I'm living right now.
I love it. And what about your art platform expresses your uniqueness and individuality?
Yes. Well, I think art is a very personal thing in general, and I picked up a camera in 2019 and was like, I really like video. I like that it's a more fluid like medium, and I feel like that's more of my thing. Like I like photography and all that, but it was just too static. It was too like I want to tell stories, and I feel like that was a great way for me to combine like sound design, music with visuals. And a lot of people have come up to me and said that like my visuals are very they're like very like vibrant, and there's like an energy to them, and the colors are amazing. And I was like, well, thank you. I want to put like my interpretation of the world and how I see it, and how I'm just so in awe with nature and the natural colors that come through that. I wanted to show that in my work. So it's like kind of combining my love for and passion for the outdoors, but also just like I think I try to make things familiar. Like I think why people love it so much is they've felt that way, but they didn't really know how to like put that on a video or whatever. So that's why it's like it's really familiar to everybody. I think everyone can relate to it. But that's what makes it unique, is I think that a lot of people can relate to it. And yeah, that's that's it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Whenever I look at your videos, it reminds me of the Pacific Northwest. And I know I've moved from there going on almost 5 years, but it's like a form of nostalgia. When I see your videos, I'm like, yeah. Well, also when it's like the same hike that I've done, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like that's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
But still, just like the feeling of like the beauty. Like sometimes, at least for myself, I get so wrapped up in what I'm doing, like focusing on my clients, figuring out psychology, human nature, that like I forget, oh yeah, I'm also a human, and I can appreciate the aspects of life that I really enjoy. And I think part of it is because, for me at least in Southern California, I haven't found hikes that are the same as like the Pacific Northwest. Like just like the dewiness, the coldness, the dampness, just the vibrancy that's there, just different. And so it's nice. It reminds me of home. And then the way that you film it as well, it's like I like how it, like how you cut and like edit everything. It's just like keeps me engaged. It's really cool.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I love that it reminds you of home. It's like it's a reminder of something very familiar, and that's what I'm trying to convey. I'm not trying to like interpret nature. I think I am doing it in my own view, but I think it's in a way that's familiar, and you can feel it. So, yeah, I learned a lot about like how to edit and cut, because I was like, no one wants to watch your video. Really, is what because like
Not anymore.
Everybody is like all this media is fighting for people's attention. So people's attention spans are a lot more like refined and like harder to get a hold of. So I've noticed that if I can make them engaged through, use of music and the right cuts and sound and the colors, I think I can get people to watch them, and they'll feel good. Like it's not like a wasted time. Like I want to give you something that leaves you feeling good, and like, hey, I want to go do that. I want to go out in nature and experience these emotions and stuff. So
You're doing it. It's so good. What would you say is your vision? What's your vision for your art and brand?
Okay, so that's a good question. So at first I just started it as like I just want to have like a video business. I want to make money doing this, and but then later on, like my new documentary that I'm creating with my friend Danielle, Dawn Until Dusk, I was like, I think I really want to step away from just regular videography and commercial work, and I want to step into really like telling all these amazing stories that need to be told. And I feel like me being like a woman of color in this industry, which is again very like male dominated, I think it's a really cool opportunity for me to bring another perspective to the table. And I want to encourage other women to do that as well, because I was like, every industry is male dominated to this point,
Yeah.
So I think that half of the story of the human condition has not even been tapped into, and I think that's also what makes me unique. Is there's not a lot of women voices out there telling these stories yet. That's which I hope that will change. So that's why I want to kind of pioneer that. And my vision is to go, step away from commercial work into more, or like maybe intentional commercial work. Like if a company wants to hire me to do like a short documentary about like their origins or a cool story or an athlete that should be highlighted, I would love to do that. I want something more, like more heart in it and more soul in my work. So I'm hoping to, bring these amazing stories to light and kind of mix it with like my flavor of whatever and inspire people. And then eventually I hope to start my YouTube channel back up again and create like little inspirational short films that I think a lot of stuff that I'm going through, I write down, and I was like, I'd love to share that. I'm sure other people are going through this as well. So I want to help encourage that healing journey and the journey to like really getting to know yourself and your purpose and all that.
I love that. Oh, and film, what a like beautiful way to translate that. There's so much that can be felt in film. I'm looking forward to it. Whenever you start, let me know. I will be there to help you. I'll provide feedback. I'm such like a movie buff. I love films of all sorts, and it's such a unique way to translate. Again, like you're saying, the human condition. With a film, just like lingering on like an actor or subject can convey so many different emotions that are like not always often felt in real life. I feel like we're so on the go. We're so focused on, you're sad. Yeah, you're hurting, you're stressed. But like, welcome to the system. Like, get past it, move on. And then film, you're able to like linger on it and say like, this is what's happening, and create like this artistic spin to it, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So whenever you're ready, let me know.
Oh yeah, I mean, we haven't even we're in still pre-production for our film, so anything that you've seen is just kind of us trying to get funding. So we haven't even started shooting it. But right now, like I'm taking a step back from my other part-time jobs to give myself more time to work on the storyline of my documentary. Like it is a story, but I just need to organize it in a way that makes sense in a 45 to 90 minute film. But that's difficult to, it's like we're asking for support, and it's hard because, everyone works really hard for their money, and the price of gas and groceries have just gone up.
Oh my god, it's like $6.50 or something.
I know. I'm like, I can't afford to drive anywhere. It's ridiculous. Like, I can't, but so I totally get it. But I think just the best support is just sharing it. It's free. It's like, hey, like if you can donate, there's this, and if you want to learn more about this film, it's this. But yeah, once I start getting we start filming it and getting rough cuts together, I'll definitely invite you in on the viewing process. So
yeah, again, no rush. Just know that I'm here to support, and I can help you share it as well.
Yeah, I would really, really appreciate. I mean, that means so much. So appreciate that.
If you had one piece of advice for aspiring artists, what would it be?
Ooh, a lot of advice. It's hard, and I think, as you know, like you're in a field, but you're also like, that's not all me. Like I'm a very multifaceted person. I'm a creator as well, but like my job is this, and oftentimes I feel like when people ask you like, well, what do you do, or how are you, or it's all like, are you married yet? Who are you dating? What's your job? What are your goals in life? And I was like, how about me as a person? Like, where did that get pushed to the wayside, Yeah. So, I have 2 bachelor degrees that I am not using. So there we go. Look at that. But I think it's just, don't be afraid to start over and over and over again. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that I've felt shame about, like, or have been made to feel shameful about, is you're too late, or like you need to pick this and that. And I was like, well, I've learned so much throughout my whole life, like kind of bouncing from thing to thing, trying to figure out what sticks. And I know it's probably painful for like family members, parents to watch, but also there's just no way that I could have known what I wanted to do when I was a young adult, and I might still not know right now, and that's okay because I'm figuring it out, I'm learning, and that's the whole purpose of life. Is I realize, being on Earth in this reality it's not a place of perfection; it's a place of refinement, and as long as you're always learning, then you're okay. So I think that one's really helped me. So just like, don't be afraid to start over, or like if there's something that you've been dreaming about secretly doing, then nurture it. Maybe it has to be a secret for a little bit longer, but it's okay. Just start nurturing it. And if it makes you feel really good and you feel like you're flowing with it and it hits like that deep part in you, then like that's your knowing telling you that's a gift. So why don't you don't have to like full send and do it 2 feet. I'm going to quit my job and blah blah blah. But find that balance of like, when can I do this and work on my passion and still like pay the bills and do whatever, because that's where I'm at. I'm transitioning into like going full-time freelance. So I'm still working a few part-time jobs and this and that, but it's like I feel like it won't look like this forever, but it's okay. Enjoy the journey. Don't be so caught up on the destination and what it should look like. Enjoy right now, because right now is all you have. So if you keep projecting into the future, you're not going to get anywhere. But it's good to look at the future too, because like make plans and goal setting and stuff. But it's okay to make it look messy and figure it out. But just go by that deep knowing inside of you, and you're not messing up. And I think the world has been so like logical and like all these jobs
like prescriptive too. Like,
yeah,
you do this and then that and then that.
like no, it's like I think that the time of the artist is rising, and I think the time of the creative and being able to live as a creative is just around the corner. As I think the world is breaking down right now. Everything looks like it's going to shit, but I think that after all of that, I mean, to get a new world, you got to break it down, right? So it's going to look great.
Yeah.
So I think that's
destruction before creation.
Exactly, destruction before creation. Like when you go work out, you're like a lot less strong after the workout because you just broke down your body. But then afterwards, you're stronger because you just built up again. So I think just hold on and realize like your unique vision and your unique gifts are like the world needs them. So don't hide it away from the world, I guess is my advice.
Yeah. Oh no, that's beautiful. A couple like episodes ago, I was talking to like a high school or someone I went to high school with, and we were talking about how like prescriptive it was. That it was like, okay, after high school you go to college. After college, maybe graduate school. Then you like work this job. It's so like prescriptive and regimented that it's like it doesn't leave room to be human. To say like,
yeah,
what is my intuition saying? My knowing, what is that saying to me? Like, what do I actually want to do? How do I want to function? And what would that look like? Maybe I don't want to go to college. Maybe I don't want that family right now. Like, what would that actually look like if my life was just creation rather than this, like, again, prescription that I've been taught?
Yeah, the prescription, that's such a good way to say it. And I think you and I, our generation, being right in there with millennials.
Oh, we're
I think we're like our parents' nightmares because we're not lazy, we're not unmotivated, we're not any of these things. We're just
we don't like the world that's been built for us.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful though for my parents because I feel like they're probably listening. They're downstairs.
I love that.
Thankful for you. But I'm really thankful because they did put a lot. They did sacrifice so much for us to have the privilege enough to like have enough food. Never had to worry about food. Never had to worry about a place to live. Never had to worry about a lot of things that a lot of people still have to worry about. And I think having that privilege, I guess I'll call it.
It is. It's a privilege.
It has allowed us to push the envelope and annoy them and being like, why don't you just, buckle down and work for 40 years and, and get that pension or whatever. And I was like, no, because
Yeah, like I
that's still not right. That's still not, like, you got cheated, but you've built us, but like now I want to push it further and be like, how about more wellness for all? How about more equity for all? How can we build this world where everything's not just like profit driven? Like healthcare is a business, illness is a business. All of everything that you could think of is just purely for profit, and that's wrong. So let's build a different world where creatives can be, support themselves and all that. But yeah, I think just pushing ahead and being like, I'm gonna follow that, knowing and follow what I think is right, even if I don't, like, by world standards, like the prescription, I look like I'm really off track. I just started a Roth IRA today, or last week. So I'm starting to save for retirement like 10 years later. But that's okay. I think it's gonna be okay.
Everything's going to be okay. It's part of the process. It's the way. And I think there's so much anxiety that comes up. And that's a lot of what you're talking about in terms of you would be better off if you followed this path. Sure, maybe, but it's not always guaranteed. And so being able to tap into your own intuition to say, okay, I have an idea of like the limits of society. I have an idea of what I need to survive as a human in our society. And with that, I want to create something that's beautiful, that's worth living for. And it might not look the same. It might not look like, I'm going to use this now all the time, the prescription.
The prescription.
Yeah, but it's still beautiful, and it helps me stay motivated, and it keeps me alive in the sense that I find something that I look forward to.
Yeah.
It's very different than working a job where you hate your life, you're bored, you have no motivation, and you just feel like a robot. I feel like that's a different style of living. Not everyone's built to have.
Not everyone's built to have that, and then I really respect people who've done that. But I think, like, you and I having these conversations is pushing that boundary to be like, you can work, but you don't have to hate it. You can still contribute to society, but you should love it. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I think about this probably every day, but I was like, man, if I've been working since 22, like after I graduated, the same job, and I didn't like it, and I just felt like that was it, how, like I feel so trapped. And I feel like, what is the point of life? That I came here to do this? Like, no, thank you. I'm sorry. But, like, it's got to be more beautiful than this.
It's got to be more to life.
I think, like, Glennon Doyle said that. She's like, I thought life was supposed to be more beautiful than this. And I loved that. That really hit me when I read her book. And I was like, yeah, it is, and it can be, but you can't follow the prescription. And I think the prescription is there to help you. It's there to be like, it's a little bit fear-based. Well, it's quite a bit fear-based. Like, you do this or else, because in that perspective, you would be a failure. You wouldn't have enough to live and all that. So I get it's like there because they care and they want you to feel secure. But I feel like you and I and our generation just has this yearning for more than that, and that's good.
Yeah, no,
it's the next thing.
Like you said before, yeah.
Yeah, and then our kids, or like, it doesn't matter if you want to have kids, but like our generation's kids are gonna annoy us and push the boundaries, and I'm gonna try to understand it.
And that shows who you are as a person. Some people push against it because they're like, no, what? This is the way. And it's like, no, the way is always changing.
It is. And if it wasn't, it would be, like, what's the point? Shouldn't we always be progressing and evolving? It's like in our DNA to evolve. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, one last question, because I know you have clients. What unexpected challenges arose from pursuing your art? And I know we've talked a little bit about it, but
I guess it's always that battle of like, when can I fully do this? Like, can I step both feet into my like artistic pursuits? So it's just kind of like balancing that. But I think we touched on how to do that. Like, you just have to still pay the bills and do that stuff, but make sure that you are carving out time to do your creative endeavors. And what I've done, which has been really great, is I've just let the power of the feminine, which is just kind of like wait and sit in like all of your gifts, and then the universe like brings people to you. Like I'm not cold calling and emailing and sending all these things out like the masculine way says, do this, then do that, and do this. And I was like, I like that. I think they can work together, those two energies, because we all have both those energies in us.
We do. Yeah.
But I've just been like, I'm just trusting that the right people will come, because the right people have always come. Whether it's relationships, friendships, jobs, it's always coming for you. So just sit back and relax and just trust the process. And it has. Like I'm getting leads just in my email. And it's been wonderful because I let go of control. So yeah, I think it's just that like I'm scared because no one's gonna want my services, no one's gonna buy this. So just keep believing yourself that you deal with self-doubt as a creative every day. I still deal with it, and I'm gonna keep dealing with it. It's gonna come up in different ways to help me. It's like when you see that, I just feel like it's just illuminating a shadow aspect of yourself that you haven't looked at before. You're like, oh, maybe I can put love into an area of my life where I felt doubt. So these are really just good reminders of like just the learning process. Another one is contracts. This is like a very tangible one. It's just make sure that you have something written, and like what I do, I have deliverables. So if I'm working for a client, I make sure that they know exactly what they're going to get. Like you are going to get 3 15-second videos, and you're going to get one 1-minute video. You're going to get blah blah, whatever it is. So you line item it out, and then you give them a. So with video, there's I forgot what the word is called, but it's basically like I get to re-edit it if they want, and that's included. So you should get 1 to 2 of those at least. So I make sure that they know how revisions like. So I'll re-edit it because they want a different song, whatever, and I send it back. And then after there's 2 of those done, then then it's done. Like unless they want to pay for more. So just make sure like the revisions are there, and then the time for deliverables. So like if I'm gonna say 6 weeks time, then it has to be 6 weeks time. And if I'm doing payments, because oftentimes like it's hard to afford it all at once, so I usually do half down, or I'll work on a payment plan, like maybe a third of the cost down now, and then every month you can pay the rest off or whatever. And I just run it through PayPal. Like I just send them an invoice when I need it, and then that's kind of it. But just make sure there's some kind of binding agreement, I think, before you do anything. And also with working with Danielle on my film, we're kind of doing it really differently because she, as the subject or character, is like co-producing it with me because it's like her story. So that's not really something I've seen done before. So we're still learning with that and being like, well, what if we don't get enough funding? Like, what do we do with the funds that we've created? Do we just keep it in this account and just trust it? It's just, we're not going to, either one of us is going to take from it, So we have to kind of figure out how to do that. And there's a lot of trust involved there, so it just is like, what are you most comfortable with, and just make sure that you have documents in place to go off of that comfort level, I guess. And me, I'm pretty comfortable, so I'm used to living on the edge. But I don't think as many people are as free flowing as I am, and I'm trusting. So but yeah, I think that's one thing that I have found. And another one is bringing other creatives along with you. Like, they could be your friends, but just understand that once you cross from friend to business for this scenario, they could act very different role. Yeah, and I was turned off by one of these times when a really good friend of mine, I asked them to be a talent, and because I usually am their talent for whatever they've got. And I never asked for payment because it's like we're just hanging out in the woods. Like I would be here anyway. So, but they actually were very, they misread it and kind of like wanted to be a photographer on the whole thing, and I was like, dude, like you're supposed to be the talent, like, and you know, so I had to go back like through text and show them. I was like, hey, like I know you're trying to like make a living as well, but like I don't even know if they have a budget for you because I literally asked you to do, you know. So it was really strange. So just be cautious with bringing friends on, and just be very upfront about what is needed, and that you appreciate them, and all that stuff. And just, you know, I wasn't like angry, but I felt like kind of hurt. I was like, this, you know, like you definitely just took advantage of the situation, and that was really weird to see coming from like someone that I've trusted and as a friend. And we were fine now. We talked about it, but you know, always a learning experience. So that, I guess that's one of the bigger ones, is that contracts, and then deliverables with video. They're such big files. So what I do, very specific to video, is like I don't do online deliveries if it's over 10 gigs. I'm gonna buy a SD card or whatever, a jump drive, and I'm just gonna mail it to you, and that's just included in the cost because I don't want to deal with that. You can deal with Dropbox and bad internet.
Dropbox. I can't. That's
So bad, right?
Yeah, it's so annoying. A lot of what you bring up too, and of course, I'm looking at it through my own lens as a therapist. A lot of what you're bringing up is like just human interactions in terms of having expectations and communicating it. So the contract is there so that you're saying, in essence, like this is what we both agree on. These are both of our expectations and our boundaries. So I'm going to allot an amount of my time, and you're going to pay for that. That's a boundary. And you're saying this is all you get, and it's in writing, so that if there's any confusion, we have it written so that we don't have to like actively think about what did we say before, what did we agree on. It's written down. And then if it's crossed, then it's like, let's talk about this. This is a boundary that was set, and it's been crossed. Does that mean that you need more support? Does that mean that you didn't understand the boundary? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
You know, we're all still human, even if
Opens
it's like,
up a.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying like my thing's at 10%, so
Oh.
it's yeah, I think it's really cool that you look at it that way, because it really is just like a written version of like decent human interaction and boundaries, and it's and that's why they're there. It's because it's supposed to eliminate any like gaps in confusion and communication, that because I think you and I are probably like pretty good communicators, I would imagine. But I've noticed like a lot of people aren't, and you know, it's just where they're at. I don't put it against them, but that's why there's more reason to have a contract, more reason to bring up that safety, because it's there to protect everybody.
Yeah.
You know, they're everyone's interests.
Definitely. And to also just have expectations. Again, there's a prescription for a reason. If we have, like, it works. Like, the system works, obviously. And so with it, then, it's like, okay, what are we getting out of this then? Like, what are we agreeing to? And with that, like you said, safety. Like, what's the best for all of us? If we're like, we're going to spend $10 million on, like, a 30-minute film, it's like, is that worth our time? And resources, it's like that could be used towards something else, or like, is this actually attainable?
Yeah.
And I think with that, it's understanding, like you said, like where we are in the moment. Not saying it's impossible, but recognizing, okay, where are we right now? Like, what are our limits and what can we do? And let's be honest about it and create it then.
Yeah, I like that. That was very well said.
Thank you.
I think what's cool, like my film is definitely, it's like all about mental health, and my client, or not client, my partner, I don't know, my creative partner, Danielle, so she's an assistant behavioral analyst, and she's been, I kept calling her a behavioral analyst, and she's like, no, assistant, I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true, because it's like very specific. So I'm learning it that way too. It's like you gotta really cover your bases. And she's my friend too, so she's very like good about communicating that to me and this and that. But it's kind of funny how. But yeah, I don't know where that was going, but
it shows again, kind of like the ways in which, like, yes, we're creating and we're living our lives, like, figuring out what it is that we want to produce, and we still live in the system. And so I think, kind of going back to the doubts that were coming up, it's still the doubts of, like, what we've been taught, in the sense of, like you're going down a path that hasn't been trodden on yet. Like,
Yes.
You should come back to the path. Come back.
Come back to the path, yeah.
Which, like, as we've talked about, is understandable, and also at the same time, it's like, dude, let me make a new path. Like, come on, just let me do it.
Let me do
I
it.
think it's the same with, like, figuring out those limits, figuring out those boundaries in terms of, I want to create, and, like, how do I create within the boundaries? How do I do this in a way that other people can access it, but in a way that also is true to me and is true to my own knowing, as you're saying?
Yeah.
Which is such, like, such a difficult path, because it's something new that we're trying, and with it, I think oftentimes it's like this shadow of, you're going to fail, and it's like, but what does it mean to fail? Like, let me just create, let me just figure this out. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to be afraid all the time. Okay, I made a mistake, I messed up, and now I know about that. Like, with the contracts that you're talking about, it's like, have to have contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure there were times where it wasn't as enforced, and we just created this discomfort that is avoidable, or is something that you don't have to feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Well, any last thoughts come to mind, or?
Last thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we hit on it. I really loved what this conversation went. This was kind of like, the questions were kind of like conversation starters, and then I feel like we really took it off, and it's just so cool to connect with you too. I just really appreciate taking the time to do this, and it worked so much better today than, my gosh. So I'm glad. See, it's our knowing.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm all about, like, lessening stress as much as possible, because we have so much. So totally chill out. This works better.
Cool.
And funny enough, my battery just said 20%. Like, we're winning in life right now.
I know. It's because I'm driving so much. I, like, leave my charger in my car, and I haven't had one in the house for months. And I was like, that's weird. Shows that I'm not on my phone as much at home, which is good.
Yeah. And it still works. Yeah, we're still here, so it's okay.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you again for joining. I'm going to keep stalking you on Instagram, because I love your videos. You're so
Love it.
And yeah, of course, when I'm back in Washington, I'm going to reach out to you.
Of course, we'd love to see you.
When that will be, I don't know yet, but it'll come.
Well, I'm trying to get more mobile too, so I might be down in Southern California again. So
Come to San Diego.
yeah, I haven't been there in years. So
Oh, okay, yeah, come.
well, it was a pleasure to talk to you and see your face, and I
Take
will
care.
see and talk to you soon.
Yes, agreed.
Bye bye.